Hi, everybody. I was just chilling to my music. I got a new intro music. So, welcome in, as they say. How you guys doing? Today's going to be a very interesting topic. Yes, I'm going to pause the music. So, yes, we're going to have a very interesting one. Somebody had asked me a question and said that I could help them with bullying and how to go about that. And so while I don't do private one-to-one kind of sort of advocacy anymore, I do this instead. And so I think I got some information for you guys. And okay, it's actually in the stream. So if you guys want to see it, just when the video hits, just go and look up on YouTube at Special Ed Answers, and you will see the transcript. Just click on transcript, and you'll find it. It's at the very beginning of the transcript. Okay, the government, the United States government's bullying prevention website. It's a whole thing. Okay, and then I just found it. It's an OCR letter regarding school districts and how bullying can actually, it could be an actual denial of faith to the student. If the bullying is so severe that it's interfering with the student ability to access the general curriculum, a change in behaviors, a whole bunch of stuff. So we're going to talk about that tonight too. So, hey, Alma, how you doing, girl? So, I also want to begin by thanking all of my supporters. We're doing so good now. I've gone up to 290 subscribers on my YouTube channel, which I am really excited about. And like, you guys are helping out so much financially. It's unbelievable. I can't even imagine this was happening to me. So thank you so much for all of your encouragement and all of your help. And I really appreciate it. You have no idea. It's so much fun to see how people care about you and how they want you to continue doing what you're doing. So thank you very much from the bottom of my heart. I appreciate it so much. And please continue to support my channel. You can subscribe to my YouTube channel for free. You just hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell, add a comment or two in under any of my videos, and it helps me reach the people that I need to. Okay, the algorithms and all that juicy stuff behind the thing for YouTube, that's what helps me build my channel. And that's my goal, to build my channel. Yes, and Alma, that's what we're going to talk about. The exact things, I finally found something, because it was hard for me to figure out, well, how could bullying deny faith? How is that seen? And now I know why schools don't do their job. I just figured it out. So, because the government gave me a piece of paper. I love paper. Love paper. So I'm going to tell you all about that. And we got a new thing. Have you seen in the corner of the stream how every time you write something, it pops up on the screen so you guys can see what everybody's saying? It'll just keep doing it. It's a new thing that StreamYard has, and I kind of like it a lot. So anyway, so I don't know what's going on with my Facebook channel. I can't see, all of a sudden, nobody's, posting anything or responding. It looks like it. But when I do my reels, I got a whole bunch of stuff in there from you guys. So I don't know what's going on. I don't know if I touch something and mess something up. So I don't know who's coming. I don't know who knows. I don't know if you guys can see my posts on Facebook. So, we're going to try it again and find out what's going on. You do see it. Okay, good. So it's there. People just aren't answering. Okay, I get it. I get it. They don't like me no more. Okay. I'm still going to do it. I don't care if they like me or not. So I don't care if I don't have you, Alma. I wish everybody would come, though. It's going to be fun. Tonight's going to be a good one. So, what else did I want to tell you? I told you that. Channel's growing. So I just want to wait and see who's coming. But So I do have a lot of stuff to tell you. Like one of the things is somebody asked me, about bullying. And so what I had to do was some research and find out exactly, because I really, they don't bully my kids because I just go to the police. I don't have time for the nonsense. I don't have time to do an investigation. I don't have time for none of that. However, parents need to know the steps they can take in order to stop the nonsense and to prove that their child is being bullied. Okay, so one of the things is my favorite thing of all times, and that is the paper trail. So the first thing you guys have to do is, as soon as the very first time your child tells you some kid is picking on him, you sit your kid down and you tell the kid to tell you the story. Don't make it a big deal, because sometimes kids don't like to rat out other kids. So you have to be careful in your approach, how you use it and how you say to your kid to get the information that you need. Let me tell you what you need. You need the name of the damn kid, for sure. You need the name of the teacher and the classroom or the environment where this took place. Okay. You need to know who was there and who may have seen it. So was there another teacher there? You need to know if your kid told the teacher, and you need to tell your kid that when another kid puts their hands on them, they need to tell somebody right away. And then when you get that much information, here's what I want you guys to understand. The devil is in the details. Okay. That's how we get them. Okay. That's why the E in email stands for evidence. That's why. Because if you don't have the details, you're not going to be able to prove, one, that your kid's being bullied, two, that it's an ongoing problem, three, that it's impacting your child's education. Your kid is now having, the grades are dropping, behaviors are more intense, a lot of things going on with your kid. Don't want to go to school. That could be from the bullying. So, you got to call the school up. You got to say, hey, I need to do an observation of my kid. And you do it all over the place. Your job is to gather as much evidence on what's going on in that classroom or in that school about your kid as you can. Okay? That's your job. Your job is to collect data. This is how you do it. Okay? So as soon as your kid tells you, and as soon as you've gathered as much information as you possibly can out of your kid without alarming your kid, okay? Don't push your kid over the edge. He says, I'm not telling you because you're going to tell the teacher, blah, blah, blah. And you lie. You tell the kid, no, I'm not going to tell the teacher. And you tell the teacher. Tell the teacher. Okay, and if somebody comes out and you tell the teacher, if I find out that you said something to my kid about me telling, and you put everybody's name on it, that's how you stop it. I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm getting mad. Okay, listen. When you're gathering the information, you start from the very beginning and say, when you gather the information from your kid, you send an email detailing what your kid said. Okay. You start off with, my kid had an altercation today, yada, yada, yada. He said he talked to the teacher. And then you put the teacher's name in there. We have to lie to our, yes, we have to lie because the kids are funny. They're in that peer thing with the kids in the school and don't nobody care. I don't care nothing about that. It's of no consequence to me. If I have to choose between my kid being bullied and my kid being mad at me because I told the teacher and corrected the problem, I guess he's going to have to be mad. He's going to have to be mad. And then you have to sit down and explain to your kid why you had to do what you did. Okay? Because you have to tell them what bullying means nowadays. Okay? Bullying means a whole lot of things. It's not just a push here and a shove there. It goes deeper than that, especially with kids with disabilities. They are always the target of bullies because bullies are that, bullies. And what they need is somebody to stand up to them and give them a good pop in the mouth, and then they back the hell down. Don't do that. But when I was growing up, that's how we did it. The bully wants to start some, there's going to be some. Like I said before. I know that if I was being bullied and somebody came to me and, if you're going to throw a punch, I'm going to throw one back. At some point in time, I'm going to land a few and it's going to hurt because if we're in this, I'm not in it to make you feel good. That's the same kind of thought process you have to have, but in writing. That's it. FAFO, that's right. You got to do it in such a way that, you can continue getting this information, one, from your kid. Okay, so you want to assure your kid, you want to do a lot of things so that you know your kid knows, you're on his side and all of that stuff. And they're going to say, oh no, that never happened, and all of that shit. But how you can tell is you got to watch your kid's grades. You got to watch and see. So take note of where your kid is at today. Okay, before the abuse at school, because that's what it is. It's abuse. Okay, so before the abuse at school, what actually was the kid doing? How was he doing at school? Was he pretty much happy? Was he just going with the flow? Was he just maintaining? I mean, where are there after being hit? Okay, repeatedly. So after 2 or 3 times of being bullied by a kid, after a while, it's going to impact the kid. So you have a track record. What you're doing is you're creating a track record to show this is the before and this is the after. This is what I did. I came to you people to tell you what happened. Now, every single state in the nation, in every single school district, has bullying protection policies and procedures about what you are supposed to do. Yeah, I looked at some of them. One of them is in Pembroke, Massachusetts, and I didn't like it. Okay, it's very all over the place. I'm going to show it to you. I'm going to show it to you in a minute, but we're going to do it my way. My way is more definitive. Okay, my way is more definitive. My way puts everything in writing. See, what they want you to do is pick up the phone and call the teacher. And they want you to have a little chit-chat on the phone. No chit-chatting. There's no chit-chatting. Okay, everything is in writing. That's first and foremost. Your kid comes home and says, your son was hit by little Johnny, or little Johnny took away his yada, yada, yada. That's harassment and abuse. Okay, took his lunch money, whatever. You put it in writing, you send it to the school. When you send it to the school, you send it to the principal, you send it to the special ed director, you send it to the teacher. Okay, create that paper trail. That's your first email that starts everything on a roll. So every time your kid comes home and there's a problem, you go back to that same email and you add this. Okay. So what you can do is say, you can tell the teacher the very first incident, you say, I need you to look into this. I need you to tell me what's going on. And I need you to put it in writing. Don't call me. I'm a busy girl. I'm busy. I need you to put it in writing. That's what you tell me. I believe my job. And you put in the email, my child is on an IEP. My child is on Section 504. My child has a disability. And I believe my child is being harassed or bullied by yada, yada, yada kid. That's all. That's all you're going to do. Okay. It's important to get names if you can. Very important. A good way to get names is Christmas presents, Valentine's Day. That's how you get the kids' names. Okay? That's how you get them. First and last names. Okay, because it's the first thing a police officer is going to ask you, who's the kid. And it's the first thing they're going to do, always something to learn. No problem. The next thing that's going to happen, eventually this continues, is the police are going to be involved. And if the police, I'm telling you, there was nothing in anything that I read that said to call the police, to get law enforcement involved. I'm telling you, get law enforcement involved. If it continues and the school district says, we did our investigation, where's the report? Where is it? I want a written report pursuant to this. That's what I want. And I want it like yesterday. That's what you do. Okay. That's how you get them, because they're not going to want to put it in writing. I'm telling you right now. And so what you're going to have to do is, and this might be a more than one training, because this is deep. I couldn't believe the stuff that I found. So let me show you. First, I'm going to show you what Massachusetts has. Okay. Massachusetts actually has a law. Now, a lot of people told me, a lot of people have told me, oh yeah, Massachusetts doesn't have that law about yada, yada, yada. Massachusetts has an actual law about bullying. So do a whole bunch of other states. So all you have to do is type it in. So let me do this. Screen share. And here's Massachusetts law. I know, guys, I'm always doing Massachusetts. It's because I have a lot of people from Massachusetts, but I can do any other state you want. So you guys just let me know and we'll do it that way, because I'm okay. I don't know what's going on with my computer. It just doesn't want to do anything I want it to do. It does what it wants to do. It's like it's crazy. Now where did it go? Jesus Christ. Oh my God. There you are. Okay. All right. So, hey, Baba girl. Hey, Alma. So I got two Almas. Is that what this is? I got two, or Alma, you on both? I'm going to beat you. Okay. So here's the Massachusetts law. School bullying, bullying prevention and intervention plans, reporting bullying incident date. Okay. So they describe what a bully is. Okay. This is the definition of a bully. Bullying, the repeated use by one or more students or a member of a school staff, including but not limited to an educator, administrator, school nurse, cafeteria worker, custodian. These are all the people you can report. Do you understand? Okay, it is you. Okay. Because they all think it's just kids. No, teachers are mean. The cafeteria worker mean. Okay. It can be anybody, athletic coach, advisor to an extracurricular activity, a paraprofessional of a written, I don't know what that, or verbal electronic expression, or a physical act or gesture, or any combination thereof directed at a victim, one that causes physical, emotional harm to the victim or damage the victim's property. Yep. Places the victim in a reasonable fear of harm to himself or of damage to his property, creates a hostile environment at school for the victim, infringes on the rights of the victim at school, or materially and substantially disrupts the education process or the orderly operation of a school for the purpose of the. So they describe charter schools, cyberbullying, collaborative schools, what all of these things are. Okay. So this right here is bullying. That's bullying. Okay. I don't care what state you're in. Those are the people that can do it to your kid. I had my niece. Okay. My niece, why is this doing this? So, okay, I gotta just stop that. My niece was nonverbal. Okay. Severely autistic, globally delayed in all areas. She's a grown woman now. But my sister gets a phone call from her neighbor who her kid was in that school too. It was a private school. So my sister calls me. I'm my niece's advocate. And she tells me what's going on. I said, come on, I'm picking you up and going to the school. She said, okay. So we go down to the school to find out what the hell's going on. And we walk right into the director's office. And I said, one of your aides just shoved my niece in a chair and was trying to force her to do something that she clearly couldn't do. My niece couldn't talk. And the more my niece didn't do it, the angrier this person got. It was so bad because we got a witness. Now, mind you, we got a witness. A woman was walking by the classroom and saw this whole thing. So they didn't see her, but she saw them. So come to find out, the other two teachers that were in the classroom told her to get out. So, okay, wonderful. So now we go up to the school, and as we're walking in, here comes this little short thing. And tell them, no, don't file with OCR. They're just dumb. Okay, let me do it this way. If your kid's on an IEP, your kid is automatically covered under Section 504. So it's an IEP thing. Whenever you file for harassment or bullying, you say it's a denial of FAPE. Remember, always say denial of FAPE. And then you show how it was a denial of FAPE. Because right after this all started, your kid's grades slipped, yada, 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 yada. Okay? So don't go to OCR. They're stupid. They don't do nothing right, ever. Ever. I don't even know who's putting out these policies because they're dumb. But anyway, you're right, Alma. Don't do it. So, the woman that was doing all this yelling at my niece, she comes up to me. And she's saying, she asked me what was going on. And I said, well, some crazy person in my niece's classroom decided she was going to shove her around. I said, I don't know what's going on in this school. I said, but whoever it was, she better watch out. because I'll call the police in a minute and file charges. This silly woman looked me in the face and she said, you can't file charges. That's not a criminal offense. I said, it is. It's assault. I said, you better go talk. And I had to do like that because he's short. I said, what you better do is go talk to your boss, because that's where I'm going right now. I believe she got fired. After the investigation was done, she was fired because there was too many people. I filed a complaint against the private school with the Department of Education. And then the other two people, they reported it, that were in the classroom. And then the other witness that called my sister at home to tell her what was going on at the school. And then me. She was fired. Because people don't understand. They think that because they work for the public school system, they can do whatever the hell they want. Because they're protected by the public school system. You are not protected, stupid. If you work for the public school system and you have a license or certification by another entity in the state, your license could be on the line. Stupid. You're all stupid if you think you're untouchable because you work for a public school. You are not untouchable. When you do things like harass a child with a disability, that's personal. You're going to, the parents could file against the school district because they dropped the ball, denial of faith, and then file against you directly for harming the student socially, emotionally, physically, whatever you did. You can be reported. Not for nothing. You can file with DCF. Yeah, Department of Children and Families. Yeah, you can file with them against the teacher. It's been done before. I did it once. I do everything once. I don't care. So yeah, so it's not just about I'm disgusted by their arrogance and disregard for, oh God. That's why that's why I tell parents all the time, you know, everybody wants me to go to their team meetings. You really don't want me to go to your team meeting because I can't process stupid. And when they talk stupid, it's a trigger for me. And then I lose it and I chew people out. And then they're banging on gavels and talk about the meeting's over. Of course it's over. You'll be hearing from me though. See, your best bet, I tell them, is to let me speak here. Because if you don't, you're still going to hear from me. But you're not going to like the manner in which you hear from me. Because I am like the air you breathe. Just because you don't see me does not mean I'm not there. I'm there. Are you breathing? I'm like air. I'm always watching you. And they just look at me like, this woman is crazy. Yes, I am. And then I file against them because they're stupid. But yes. So bullying for kids with disabilities, there's a long history of kids being tortured in school because, not tortured, well, depends. Being abused, being harassed, being bullied. And I mean, we see it everywhere. As soon as there's something going on in some school where some kid lost it, it's usually because that you find out later that the kid was a bully. It was being bullied. What about those kids at Columbine? They were all being bullied. It's walking around, now they're cool as shit. They decided to create a little club, call themselves, you know, whatever, and walking around the trench coat gang or whatever. And now look, now they shot up. But that was the first, I believe that was the first one, the Columbine massacre. Those kids were bullied. And the parents didn't even know what these kids were doing. They weren't paying attention to them at all. One of the kids was in the garage mixing a bomb. She heard the glass break and everything. She went out there. She said, what are you doing? He said nothing. She said, okay. She walked out. So I believe that Connecticut kid had autism. He wasn't even going to that school. His mother was a teacher there. I believe that was a Connecticut school. All those little kids died. And he ended up, he kind of killed everybody. I mean, it was little kids. That kid had autism. He was being bullied all his life. People don't understand. Children with disabilities cannot process stuff, especially kids with autism. They don't know how to be mean. I've never met a mean autistic kid. I met ones that were bad. Like, you know, stop doing that. It's bad, you know. But not mean. They don't know how to lie. They don't know how to lie. It's literally taught. So I don't believe they know how to lie. I've never met one that could look me in the face and tell a bold-faced lie. Because they don't have that capacity to do that. It's not in them to do that. Lying is a learned behavior. It's not like talking. You learn how to talk. You also learn how to lie, but everybody has the ability to learn how to talk unless they have some kind of disability where they can't talk. Okay. So it's a learned behavior. Lying is a learned behavior, and it's not even a good lie. It's not even a good behavior. It's bad. It's like teaching a child to go to a party. That's what lying is. You have to teach a child, and it's hard teaching a child with a disability how to lie. Now, kids with disabilities that are mental health issues, okay, they lie. They do. They know how to lie because their brain is not affected in the same manner as a child with a developmental disability, like autism. Now, there are some kids, like Down syndrome kids, I believe, I'm not 100%, that they know how to lie. But kids with autism don't. They're just, they're not mean. They can't lie. They don't know the difference. I don't think between, if you told them what's the truth and you put two things in front of them, I don't think they would know the difference. I really don't. Now, kids with Down syndrome, they're a higher level. And so they can do a lot of things that children with autism cannot. Now, that's not to say that children with autism can't do something, because, the spectrum is humongous. It's just huge. I've never met any child that had autism that could lie. They're really very naive and very innocent, to the point where it's like they created innocence. They're like little angels. And that's not to say other kids that aren't autistic aren't angels either. That's not what I'm saying. I don't believe. That's what I don't believe. So they're very susceptible to bullying, only because they're very trusting. All the kids with disabilities are, and what you might think is mean, they think is nice. And so we always have to be on our guard with our kids, especially even when they get older. It's even worse. I'm ferocious with that. So you have to be cognizant of what's going on with your kid at school at all times. You don't just watch his grades to see if they're making progress. You watch their grades and their behaviors, and to see if there's any changes. And that's your first clue. That could be your first clue that there's a problem at school. It could be that your kid's frustrated because your kid knows he can't do the work and the teacher's not helping him. It could be that. Okay. And that's also a denial of faith, because if the teacher's doing that, then the teacher needs to tell you, and yada, yada, yada. And then there's a meeting. And so if the teacher's not doing that, that's still a denial of faith. So you do have to watch it, because these kids are very vulnerable to people who are just plain and simple mean. They're just mean, like that teacher for my niece. And my niece didn't care. She just kept doing it. She was bad, but it wasn't like she was doing anything mean or bad or fresh. She wasn't doing that. She was just looking at her like she was crazy. Sophia. So anyway, that's some of the things that I want you guys to look at, but that's that law. So what I did is, let me do this. I wanted to know, let's see, a new tab. Let me do a new share. Okay, so when I wanted to look this up, right, I said, okay, what do I need? So I wanted to find out, the first thing I did was go online. And so I said, do all states have bullying laws for public schools? See, there it is right there. Okay, so I clicked on it. And then AI popped up, because Google's full of it, and I'm tired of Google doing this to me. So, I don't know why AI is saying that, but there was one in here, and it said yes. I don't know why this is saying. Okay, do all states? Okay, so then you have to rephrase it. Okay, so must All states have bullying prevention laws for public schools. There. I think this is going to say yes. Oh my God, I don't know what's going on with AI. She's just sickening. I think I'm going to stop that. But anyway, I ended up with this. Okay. So this law says laws, policy. This is okay. This is what I put at the very beginning of the chat. Okay. I'm old. It takes me a long time to figure out stuff. Jesus. Let me see. Is it this one? I like this one. Okay, that's better. Can you guys see that? Because you really don't need to see me. You need to see what I'm gonna show you. Okay, so it's stopbullying.gov. Okay. And so here's how you know this is an official government, United States government website. Here, look what it says right there. You see that? Can you guys see it? Okay, an official website use .gov. Okay. And it says a .gov website belongs to an official government organization in the United States. This is how you can tell if it's real. If you see a lock up here you'll see a lock, or you'll see https://. That means you're safely connected to a government website. Share sensitive information only on official secure websites. I don't get bugs and viruses because I'm always doing this kind of stuff. You see it? Okay, good. So now what we're going to do is this. So this is an official site. So I'm going to put it up here again, so you guys can have it again. So copy. All right. Share a referral link. Oh, doing that. Okay. Okay. There's the website. Okay. This website is really cool. Okay. It gives you a lot of information. Okay. There it is right there. State and local lawmakers have taken action to prevent bullying and protect children. Each jurisdiction, including all 50 states, the District of Columbia, and U.S. territories. That's the Puerto Rico and all of those islands. They addresses bullying differently. Okay. They still have to have a law about bullying. Okay. Some have established laws, policies, and regulations. Now, let me just check this and see what it says. Distinction. Okay. Public Health Law Center. Okay. So always check out the, see these little blue things, they're footnotes. And the footnotes in some of these things give you even more information. All right. That's where the juice is. You always want to look at footnotes. Okay. And then it says others have developed model policies schools and local educational agencies can use as they develop their own local laws, policies, and regulations. Like I said, Massachusetts has an actual law. I just read it to you. Okay. Most state laws, policies, and regulations require districts and schools to implement a bullying policy and procedures to investigate and respond, okay, to bullying when it occurs. A handful of states also require bullying prevention programs, inclusion of bullying prevention in health education standards or teacher professional development. Good, because everybody's stupid. These state laws generally do not describe specific consequences. Further, states may address bullying, cyberbullying, and related behaviors in a single law or across multiple. So it might not be in one spot, is what they're trying to tell you. Okay. But they have the common components of what all of the states usually have in their laws. Almost all of the states, all 50 states, have bullying laws. You just have to look for them. Okay. Now, nobody wants to come off it. The other thing is, what I found out is that the bullying stuff for your school is usually in your student's handbook. Every year you get a student handbook. You can go online in every single school district and you can look up student handbook. If you can't find it online, you go to the school and you tell them you want the latest student handbook. That's where you get it. Okay. That's where you can get the process, the procedures. Pembroke Public Schools in Massachusetts did this big to do. There's nothing in there about how to file. It's finally in the bottom somewhere, and it says how to file a complaint. And basically, there's no form. You just make it up. And that the reason why they do that is because they want you to put it in writing, because rather than them ask specific questions for them to investigate. Like, they're not going to say, oh, give me the name of the child, the location this happened, when did it happen, were there any witnesses? Their form would have to say something like that. They don't want that form to do that. So what they do is they leave it up to you. I'm going to create a form for bullying. How about that? How about I do that? That's what I'll do. I like making forms. It's fun. So I'll make a form. Where's my little cards? How about that? I'll make a form for you guys. It will go straight across any state. Okay? So develop. Okay. Develop form to file bully complaint. It'll be easy. Okay? And you can use it in any single state. Yes. Okay, good. So that's what I'm going to do. And it's going to have these components right here. It's going to have this because everybody's stupid. Okay, so now I got to go over here and do that. And add a bookmark. And done. See, it shows the state. Okay, wait. Here it is. So, for information about bullying laws, select a state. Okay. How about you, Alma? Let's do yours. You're in South Carolina or North Carolina? We'll do South. I think you said South. South Carolina. There you go, girl. Components of it. And there it is. Prohibiting statement, definition, scope, protected groups, district policy, reporting and investigations. See? There it is. Okay, so let's do another one. Let's go back. And let's see. Yes, the school district's bank on parents. Did you see what I just did? Did she show you South Carolina? Okay, South Carolina, DUE is. Look. And you can print this. So reporting and investigations, yes. So look at all the laws. Regulations that cover bullying. These are all the regulations. But see, you got to figure out, okay, this is transfer of pupils. Okay, this is all of the laws that protect your kid in South Carolina. Okay? South Carolina, minimum standards of student conduct and disciplinary enforcement procedures to be implemented by local school districts. So you just go and you would just look at all of these until you find the one that you want to cite. Okay, then you click on it and that's the one you cite. Reports by witnesses, prohibited conduct, reports by witnesses, local school districts to adopt policies prohibiting harassment, required components, model policies by State Board of Education bullying prevention program. There you go. And you click on it. See what you do? So I tell you guys, don't tell me that you guys don't have. You do. It's hard to find and it's a pain in the ass. And it's like you have to be a detective. You have to be a detective. Okay? You have to be a detective when it comes to your kid. Because if you're not, they'll just, oh good. Well, she don't give a shit. That's what they think, that you don't give a shit. Okay, so let's do, what else, Massachusetts? Oh, there you are, you stupid state. Massachusetts, here we are. Anti-bullying included in this. See, it's all the same thing. Let me see. Where is ours? There it is right here. School bullying. Okay, of course it's not connected because you're stupid. Your connection is not private. I don't care. But anyway, I already have it on here. So, but yeah, so you just go through here and then you have it. Let's try another state. New York. There you go. See what I'm talking about, guys? It's here. Now. So let's go over here to California. There you go. I want to know the difference between the red and the blue. Okay. Commonwealths and territories. Oh. But Massachusetts is a Commonwealth. It's not red. Okay, red. Laws only. What does that mean? They don't have regulations? Laws only. Bullying laws and policies. I don't know what that means, laws only. I think we have regulations. No, which North Carolina laws and regulations cover bullying? These are all of them. Cyberbullying of employees. Listen, guys, whenever you want to find something and you can't find it, come here. I will find it. I love doing this. This is why I became an advocate. You know, one of the fun things about being an advocate is doing the research. Freaking love it. I just absolutely love it. Because I take this information and I put it in my complaint to show they didn't do their job. Okay? To show how the kid was denied FAPE. That's how I do it. I look for this stuff. So if you guys can't find it, you come to me and I will find it for you. Okay? So what does this mean? So both law and policy. Okay. So in Massachusetts, we have laws and policies. I like laws, not too much, just policies. Policies, see, the green one, oh, see, there's no green. There's no green. And every single state is accounted for. Okay, so over here it says no, it says policy only. We don't want that kind. We want, you got to move. If you live in a state where it's a policy only, you got to move because your kid is subject to bullshit. Okay, and there's nobody can do about it. So, but that's good. So South Carolina and Massachusetts and all of these pretty blue states right here, okay, they have, oh, it's funny they did red and blue. Okay, I'll be quiet. They only have policy. See, look at Texas. They only have policy. They only have, oh, I'm sorry. I'm wrong. They have laws. Massachusetts, all these blue states have both laws and policy, which a policy is good if you have a law because they go together. Now, a policy doesn't carry as much weight as a law, but if you have both, what it is whoever wrote, whatever department wrote the laws, they relied on their that their policies are based on their laws. So it's their interpretation of their laws. That's the same thing that OSEP does. OSEP writes letters all the time, and they're policy letters, okay? And what it is their interpretation of their laws, which carries a lot of weight. So if you just have the laws, then it's a little difficult to argue, but really it's not, because all you have to do is prove. If you have the laws in the red states, all of these states just have laws. They don't have the policy to go with them. But IDEA is a law. So if each state, all of these red states have laws, and then you prove that your kid is being bullied at school, and that bullying has resulted in a denial of FAPE because your kid is grades are dropping, or the kid isn't going to school, or the kid is afraid to go to school, so it's a hostile environment. If you can prove that, then it doesn't matter if they only have laws, because you can get the rest of the stuff from OCR to prove that this is what they got to do. You can get it from IDEA, OSEP letters. You can get it from the laws under IDEA and Section 504. So you're covered anyway. It doesn't matter. The only place, like I said, none, there's no states. There are no states or the territories. They didn't list the territories. But I don't know. MP, what's MP? I don't know. Oh, see, the green ones don't have any laws. Commonwealth of Northern Mariana Islands anti-bullying laws and policies. I don't know why it's green. It says it's green, but they have this. Oh, you have to. Oh, see, it says no. Safeguards and supports, review and update of local policies. No. Prevention, education, no. Staff training, no. Parent engagement, no. Okay, I get it. No, go ahead. Excuse for the question. You're trying to say, talking about laws, who is the contact to go to regarding OSAP? Who is the, there's a new person. Send it to Laura Duos. Do you have Laura Duos' email address? If you send it to Laura, Laura will tell you to send it to her bosses. Let me just see. Who is the OSAP director? Oh, belly gown. One of my guys just told me. Oh yeah, see, it's vacant. David Cantrell. That's the deputy. Is David Cantrell. Okay, do you have David Cantrell? He's a deputy director. That's who's showing up on the chart right now. Wait, let me see. Share. Okay, here he is. David Cantrell. He's a deputy director of the office of OSAP. But he's a deputy. He might still be the deputy, so you can contact him. So, okay, if you have Laura Duos email, write it in the, when you want to send it to David Cantrell, it's 2 L's, honey. When you send it to, okay, offices, let me see. It should, okay, the same way you wrote the email to Laura Duos, that's set up, do it for Cantrell. Okay, that's how you do it. And then, and send it to Laura Duos too. And say, I'm not sure, is this the person who's the deputy? I want them to have it. And to just do it that way. Let me see if I can find directory staff. OSAP staff. Oh, shoot. Oh, son of a bitch. They don't have his email. They don't have his email. See, the director's vacant, but I think there's a new person in there. I'm not sure. So just write it up. Contact. That's what I want. OSAP staff directory contact. Let me see if I can find it this way. Oh, that's not it. So you're in. Yeah, no, it's not doing it right. There's a way I did it and I can't figure out. I can't remember how I did it before. So just write it up that way and you'll be fine. Okay. So what's the other thing I wanted to show you guys? Yeah, this was my favorite. So now I'm going to show you the OCR letter. You guys are going to die when you see this. Okay, because that's where the juice really is. Now remember, your kid, if your kid is on an IEP, your kid is automatically covered under Section 504. Okay, then let me know. Now, okay, when you look at your kid's IEP, okay, when you look at your kid's IEP, there's a section in the IEP that talks about accommodations. Okay, that's Section 504. That's your twofer. If your kid is on an IEP, they automatically qualify for Section 504. So if you didn't know, now you know. Okay, so that and under Section 504, they also have FAPE. Okay, so if a kid's in the Section 504, they have to be provided FAPE. But Section 504 all by itself ain't worth the paper it's written on. You can use it under IDEA real good, but all by itself, no, I wouldn't suggest it. So now I'm going to show you this. Okay, so now I want to delete this. Okay. And why won't you just do what I ask you to do? Okay, good, because you're stupid. I like talking to myself too. Okay, so now I gotta go find my thing. Where was I? Am I here? There I am. When I move stuff around, I can't find stuff. It's irritating. Okay, so now screen share, and a window, and there we go. Okay. This is cool as shit. I'm not even kidding. I gotta make this smaller. I can't read it, but hey. Okay. This is a letter from OSEP dated 2014. It's still good. Okay? It's still good. Hasn't been archived or nothing like that. In fact, not only is it good, but they list previous OCR letters regarding bullying and the denial of faith. Okay? So, this was written in 2014. It says, while there is a broad consensus that bullying is wrong and cannot be tolerated in our schools, the sad reality is that bullying persists in our schools today, and especially so for students with disabilities. In recent years, OCR in the United States Department of Education has received an ever-increasing number of complaints concerning the bullying of students with disabilities and the effects of that bullying on their education, including on the special education and related services to which they are entitled. Okay? I did it again. Why does it keep doing that? I don't want it like that. I don't want it like that either. Why is this weird? Okay. We'll do it like that. Can you guys see that what I'm reading? Can you? If you can't, let me know. I look like whodunit in the rain. Came on looking all good, and then I'm messing with the hair. Okay. Pretty girl again. Pretty girl. Okay. So, that's not working good either. I'll do it like that. Can you guys see it? Okay, good. So, so it talks about the trend and everything that's going on. And then it says today's guidance follows a long history of guidance issued by the department in this critical area of discrimination, of disability discrimination. In 2000, they did something, yada, yada, yada. Here's the footnotes. This is where the good shit is. Okay. You click on these things and it takes you to the document. Okay. There's the OCR Dear Colleague letters. OCR has the same kind of Dear Colleague letters that OSEP has. Policy letters and all that stuff. Okay. So then, okay, here it is. Building on OSER's 2013 guidance, which was the year before this was written, today's guidance explains that bullying of a student with a disability on any basis can similarly result in a denial of FAPE under Section 504. That must be remedied. It also reiterates schools' obligations to address conduct that may constitute a disability-based harassment violation, and explains that a school must also remedy the denial of FAPE resulting from disability-based harassment. Now, this is what I want you guys to understand. What I want you to understand is this. These are federal laws that I'm talking about, okay? These are already on the books. Regardless if a state has bullying prevention laws or not, is irrelevant, because the federal laws say FAFO. That's what the federal laws are telling them. Don't start none, won't be none. Because regardless of what they believe, it doesn't matter, because the federal laws protect your kid under an IEP. Okay? So, I just want you guys to remember that. Okay? Because I'm going to smack you. Now when I do this, do it like that. Okay. So now it's telling you what the school district is obligated to do. It's not up for discussion or nothing. See, the problem lies. Okay, let me explain this. I gotta tell you this too. So the problem lies in how the district addresses a report of harassment or, all of that stuff. How do they respond? Now, in my history, as an advocate, schools are reluctant, to say the least, to actually do an investigation that actually results in a written report. That's what they do. And they do that to protect themselves. And so what you have to do is create that record yourself. Okay. So just because these morons aren't writing stuff down, you're writing stuff down and you're sending it to them and you're telling them, go investigate. So you have the paper trail. So you're actually, every single time your kid reports something to you, think about it, guys. Every time your kid tells you something and you put it in an email and you send it to the numbnuts, okay, the principal, the special ed director, and in this instance, the school superintendent. Okay, that's what you do. All right. And you let them know. And every single email after the first one, you write second report. And then in between, you write to them and say, I'd like to know the status of your investigation. When can I expect the written report? And that's when you're going to find out there's no written report. Don't be discouraged, because if there's no written report, here's the written report. Let me tell you what the written report is. Your child, from the day he started, you'll have a paper trail. From the day, shut up, girl. Alma just said, are you sure, Tammy? School's reluctant? No way. That's not nice. So let me tell you how you can prove that how you write your report. Okay. So on the first day, you're up until the day your kid, for instance, started being harassed by little Donnie over there with his badass self. He was doing pretty good in school. He didn't have any issues. He wasn't misbehaving in schools. There's no notice from the teachers. His grades were, given his disability, where they've always been. Okay. There was no regression. Okay. There was no standout thing your kid was doing in school that would cause alarm from the teachers, from you, nothing. Him reporting it, nothing. The second you started getting reports from your kid, but the second you got the report from your kid that some kid was torturing him at school, that's when you started to see a change in behavior for your kid. Now, behavior is a lot of things. Okay, behavior is just being, disruptive in class, because now we're trying to get out of that class, get away from that kid. And the only way your kid may know how to do that is by acting out in school, acting out in that classroom, so that the teacher throws them out. Because the first thing the teacher's going to do is throw them out, instead of finding out why little Johnny's acting up so much all of a sudden. Okay. So you have that paper trail. You make sure that none of the teachers are ring, hello. Yes, Mrs. Yada, yada, yada. I'm just calling to find out, is there anything going on? His behaviors have changed. No. Writing. Put it in writing. And so when they call you up and you answer the phone, they have this little chat. What you do is you put that little chat in writing and you send it to them. And you say, today we had a conversation about my son. This was the first time I've been advised that my son was having an issue at school. This comes after I reported that some kid was picking on my kid. See how that works? So you have created that paper trail. Your kid created the paper trail because your kid's grades are slipping. Your kid's behaviors are changing. Your kid doesn't want to go to school now. Your kid is crying all the time before he gets on the bus. What's going on? And it happens all the time. So the paper trail is there. You have to be responsible enough to start asking the school in writing only. If they call you up on the phone and they say, well, we'd like to have a meeting. Well, the meeting has to be recorded. Because I don't understand what the problem is. If I was a teacher, I will get fired within a week for doing the right things for exactly. A lot of people, when I was an advocate in Massachusetts, I didn't have any at the time this happened. I didn't have a degree. And I went to the Marshfield Public Schools for a team meeting for a kid. I worked for this ginormous company as an advocate, and we had a contract with DSS or DCF now. And they didn't have a special ed director at the time. And the school psychologist was filling that spot until they could hire someone. And after one of my meetings with her, she said, Tammy, why don't you just fill, why don't you just become the special ed director? Why don't you just apply for it? I'm sure you'll get it. And I'm like, yeah, no, I didn't. I was kind of embarrassed that I didn't have a degree. I don't know why. I was real, for her to even think that I was, that I had the qualifications to do that based on my performance at the meetings with them. That was pretty, good kudos. But I didn't take it like that. I wasn't as confident and bullish like I am now. This was like 20 years ago. So I went to another meeting with her and she said it again. She said, I really wish you would do that. I said, first of all, I don't have a degree. She said, what? You don't have a degree? I said, nary a one, have a high school diploma. She said, what? I said, that's number one. And number two, even if I had a degree, I would be in breach of contract. She said, why? I said, because any kid that came to me that I knew had a disability, they'd be on a 504. I mean, they would be on an IEP 504. They would be on an IEP getting all kinds of services. And I'm 99% sure that this school district does not want none of that going on. So the answer is no. I don't want to be an advocate. I don't want to be a special ed director because I have to do everything my way. That's just stupid. So anyway, yeah, that's you're right. I would get fired too. I'd be in breach of contract. But anyway, I digress. I had to tell you that. So this letter is telling you guys what the school district must do. You notice it doesn't say anything about state laws. You notice that. It's only talking. This letter is only talking about OCR regulations and IDEA regulations, Section 504 and IDEA and denial of FAPE. That doesn't have anything to do with state laws, bullying prevention laws. Oh, you guys, look. I just got a new cup. My mother's going to kill me. She keeps telling me stop buying cups. I love those cups. So anyway, so that's why this is really cool. Because, a lot of times schools and organizations, they want you guys to think like you don't have any choice and you have to deal with all of this nonsense and, just suck it up. There's no sucking up of nothing. Ain't nobody over here sucking up nothing. Here's what we're going to do. Right? Tammy is going to create a form for bullying prevention so that you can write your complaint. I'm going to show you how to put it together. So everything on this form is going to tell you everything that you need to demonstrate that your kid had denial of FAPE. And then you can file a complaint under IDEA. How's that? No OCR, no public school system. You go straight through IDEA because it's a denial of FAPE. Now they have to investigate. And what are they going to say? Well, this isn't, no, it's a denial of FAPE. And because each state have laws, you can include those laws. So now the state's in trouble, and so is the thing. So under IDEA, you can't deny FAPE to a kid because the kid has a disability. Your allegation is going to be that your kid with a disability was denied FAPE because he was being bullied. And because he was being bullied, he couldn't access the curriculum. He couldn't go to school. He has all kinds of emotional things. And then I'm going to show you guys a bunch of other stuff, like if your kid is in counseling, then what you do is, I am so hot, I don't even know. I've been freezing all day. Now I'm hot as hell. Okay. It's because I got on this stupid sweater. That's why. Wait a minute, guys. There we go. I don't know what you guys been doing in your state, but it's been freezing here for like 3 days, 4 days, a week, some crazy stuff. We all been freezing. We don't even want to get out of summer clothes. But anyway, so my form is going to make sure that you guys can set it up so that you have the evidence. And that means you're going to have to go online and you're going to have to get his report cards, any comments the teachers make. that weren't there before. You can prove, because what you have to do is you have to get that stuff now. As soon as the first incident happens, go online and get all of your kids' work and everything to see what's going on. Okay? Because it's their job, it's their obligation to address conduct. Wait a minute. There it is. It says right here. It is the school's obligation to address conduct that may constitute a disability-based harassment violation, and explains that a school must also remedy the denial of FAPE resulting from disability-based harassment. You see, this is how you say it. That's how you say it. That's what goes in your complaint. That your kid was, he was denied FAPE from a disability-based harassment. Now, and you reported it to the school and they didn't do shit. So they're in violation of the state laws because they were supposed to do something. You know what? They don't even, we are 100. Are you kidding me, Alma? Jesus Christ. I don't want that. That's caca. I'm not even doing that. That's crazy talk. 110 in South Carolina. Hi, Barbara. Girl, you listen? Oh, Barbara's coming back next week, guys. We're going to do the whole thing on transition too. Okay. So then it says, following an overview of federal protections for students with disabilities in schools, the guidance elaborates on the elements of disability-based harassment and a FAPE violation. Discusses how OCR generally analyzes complaints involving both bullying students. Nobody cares because we ain't sending nothing to these ding-dongs. We're just not. Although by no means, where does it say? Although by no means exhaustive, in context of this discussion, the guidance also offers some insight into what OCR might require of a school to remedy instances of bullying upon a finding of disability discrimination. OCR urges schools to consider these hypothetical resolution agreement provisions in proactively working to ensure a safe school environment free from discrimination for all students. Okay. So here's the federal procedures, like I told you. Okay. So there's some good stuff in here. Wait. It talks about Title II, prohibits disability discrimination by public entities, including all public schools and school districts, as well as public charter schools and magnet schools, regardless of whether they receive federal financial assistance. So you can't discriminate, period. Doesn't matter who you are. OCR, along with U.S. Department of Justice, well, we don't know what it's called now because there's a ding-dong running it, enforces Title II in public elementary and secondary schools. Title II is generally construed to provide no less protection than Section 504. Therefore, violations of 504, including the failure to provide needed regular special education and related aids and services to students with disabilities, also constitutes a violation of Title II. So, when you write a complaint, you have to put as much information in there that you possibly can that is clear and concise. Okay? I use AI. I write it up and then I go put it in there. But AI is garbage in, garbage out. Okay? If you don't know what you're talking about, AI can't help you. So whatever you write in there, it's just going to make it sound better. But if you tell it the laws, you say this is the law, Title II, it'll put a Section 504, it'll put in all of that stuff for you. Okay? It is a waste of time and tax. It's just, right now, it's even worse than it ever was. The Department of Justice saying, did you see that Bambi-looking woman that's running it? I mean, she's an idiot. She shouldn't be in charge of my van. She's stupid. She's the worst lawyer I've ever seen in my life, and she's the head of our Department of Justice. Okay, this is what I wanted you guys to see. All right? Doesn't matter who's in charge or nothing, okay? This is what I wanted you to see. School's obligation to address disability-based harassment. Bullying of a student on the basis of his or her may result in a disability-based harassment under Section 504 in Title II. As explained in OCR, okay, on bullying and harassment. When a school knows or should know of bullying conduct based on a student's disabilities, it must take immediate and appropriate action to investigate or otherwise determine what occurred. Okay? If a school's investigation reveals that bullying based on a disability created a hostile environment, they're not going to do that. If they even think it could go that way, they're not going to do it. The only way you're going to know your kid's in a hostile environment is the kids' grades are going to drop, the kids' behaviors are going to drastically and seriously change for the worse. Your kid's not going to want to go to school. Okay? Your kids are going to have nightmares, a whole bunch of stuff due to what's going on at school. Okay? So that's how you can prove it, by the progression of the behaviors and what's going by the worse your kid's behaviors get, the worse your kid does in school, is how you're going to be able to tell your kids and now you got a complaint. And every single day, every single time, you tell them, I want this investigated, I want this investigated, I want this investigated. And then you ask them, how long is this investigation going to take? And what they're going to do is, oh, it'll take about a month, and we have to contact these people, blah, 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 blah. Good. So am I getting a written report? And they're going to say no. And you say, what do you mean I'm not getting a written report? Well, we're going to have a meeting and we're going to discuss it, and I'm going to tape record it, and I'm getting a transcript. There, how's that? So I'll write up what happened. How's that? And what we're going to do is file a complaint. And that's everything they told you is going to be, because what you're going to do is, I'm going to tell you, okay. Whenever a school refuses to put something in writing, this is how you circumvent that. This is how you do a workaround. You put it in writing and you send it to them and you say, today we had a conversation regarding blah, 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 in which I requested yada, yada, yada. And your response was do, 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 do. Okay. Is that correct? Now they're going to have to tell you something else. Okay. Now they're not good. They might say, well, we have to talk again. No, we don't. You have to tell me, is this correct? Because, and then if they don't answer, you say, I expect a written response to this statement. By the end, you put a deadline in there, by the end of such and such. And if I don't receive a response, I have to assume that I am correct in the statements that I made in my email. So whatever you said is what happened. That's how you do the workaround. That's why if you're a smart person on the school side, I mean, if they're smart, they'll answer every single one of your emails properly. Because they're stupid. They think they're smarter than you. Let them think that. Underestimating what you people can do to them is your biggest weapon. Understand? That's been my golden thing for years. These schools underestimated me for years, and I'm telling you, but I got them every single time. Brockton, Massachusetts, I swear to God, at one point in time, I had Brockton paying for about 10 kids in 10 different residential and day placements, ranging from $60,000 to $160,000 a year, plus transportation. They were paying for these services because Brockton didn't want to do their job. And in all of those cases, I didn't go to any hearings. Was it not Marshall? Pembroke, where Barbara lived. Yeah. Pembroke, I mean, every time I turned around, I was getting another client out of Pembroke because Pembroke was breaking the law left, right, and center. And what was happening is, like, Barbara would be in a grocery store and she'd hear somebody having a conversation. She said, you need to call Tammy. And they're like, who? That's how my name got all around that town. It was word of mouth everywhere. I never had to advertise. These people underestimated me to the point where the SPED director of, the assistant SPED director of the Pembroke Public Schools asked me why I was targeting their school. And I had to tell him, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't even advertise. He said, what? Was there any time that you were afraid of the school system? That's a good question. I wasn't afraid per se. I didn't have, when I first started doing this, I loved it so much. Friggin' loved it. But I was scared. I was scared that one, I wasn't going to do a good job for the kid. And two, I didn't, because they all had degrees and I didn't, I felt like I wasn't worthy of sitting at the table because they all had a degree. I soon found out how wrong I was. I was smarter than all of them. In all of the schools I was in, I was smarter than all of them. They know what to do with me. And every time I got my way, it was like a reward for my behavior to continue. And that's how I got my confidence. I just got my degrees like when I turned 60. I've all these years, for 30 years, I didn't have a degree. I turned 62. When I turned 62, I got my master's. And I did it because I was sick of them acting like they were better than me. That's the only reason why I went back to school. The only reason why I went back to school. But I would go to the meetings and I knew what I wanted to say, but it's weird. Like I would go to write something down. I could actually feel my hand shaking. And I'm like, why are you? I was nervous. I wasn't scared. I was nervous. And it's weird because my mouth has always been big. I don't care. I don't care about, and that's always been one of my my biggest weapon as a person is I never gave a shit about what they thought about me. I did in the beginning. I take that back. That's why I was scared because they thought I didn't know what I was talking about, even though I did. And then after I just keep doing it, then I was okay. But for all intents and purposes, I really didn't give a shit what they said, what they thought about me, because I was not going to stop. I was not going to stop. I don't stop until I get what I want. Let me tell you I can tell you a story. When I didn't get my license to drive until I was like, I think it was 33. I passed the written test every single time in 5 states. Every time I took a test, I was in a different state. In 5 states, I passed every flying colors, aced it. Until the guy got in the car. The guy gets in the car, I lost my mind. The first place was in Glen Burnie in Maryland, and I went to go take the test, and they had an obstacle course. I'd only had my learner's permit for 2 weeks. They had an obstacle course, and the guy said, okay, I need you to make a 3-point turn. I need you to have this car going this way so you can take a left. I made a 3-point turn in 10 points. It was a mess. I didn't know what I was doing. It was just so bad. It was just so bad. But it's because I got nervous and I just knew I couldn't do it. And it was really bad for me. But then one of my friends got in the car with me. We went to Plymouth, Mass. I ended up in Plymouth, Mass. And she talked. Oh, she was in the back seat. And the guy was sitting next to me. And she talked to the guy the whole time. So because she talked to the guy the whole time, the guy would just tell me, go down the street, take a left. Put on the blink, I took a left. And he says, go all the way down. I'm driving. Then he says, now take a right. I took a right. I did everything. When I got out of the car, he said, you passed. I was so happy because it took 5 tries. And it took 5 tries in 5 states. And I got it. So, I haven't always been this confident about who I am as a person and about my abilities. I'm 67, going to be 67, and I'm finally comfortable in my own skin, and I'm finally comfortable and confident in what I'm able to do, because I know there's always it. But the first thing you have to do is you have to get out of your head what people think about you. When, like my mother says, it's none of my business what you think about me. I don't care. I don't care. And because that's over there, because now I don't give a shit what you think about me. Now I'm free to do whatever I want because I'm not worried about, is this going to be okay? I don't care. I try to be as civil as I possibly can at team meetings, but my brain does not process stupid. And It doesn't matter if I'm saying something because it's showing on my face. What I'm thinking is actually about the person talking is actually showing on my face. And it's pure disgust. It's just, I mean, I make faces while people are talking and stuff. I don't even know I'm doing it. I had a woman tell me that. You need to stop making faces. I used to work in the company she worked at, and I left because she was an ass. And I had to tell her, I don't work for you. Who do you think you are talking to me like that? Or what? And that's exactly what I did at the meeting. Or what? What are you going to do? Really? There was 30 people at the meeting. And I didn't care what I said. I was dying to say that for at least a year and a half. And once I left, I could say whatever I want. And I told her, I don't like you. I am addicted to your videos because you make me laugh. I'm glad I make you laugh. That's good. That was my goal. But I don't, my sisters tell me all the time that, you know, I'm funny on my videos. And I'm like, what? Like, yeah, you're funny. But it's true. I mean, I just look at what we have to deal with all the time. And we have to laugh because this is some serious shit we're talking about. People don't understand how hard this is. You know, you got to fight these people all the time. And you just want to smack a bit. I can't say that. Don't anybody ever do what I'm saying. Just don't do it, okay? I'm not saying that you should do anything, be violent. You shouldn't. Violence is only in paper. Like, and the violence that I'm talking about is you report their asses. Because it's way more fun, too. You don't understand. Reporting them is way more fun than doing anything like, you know, that you could end up in jail for. So, oh yeah, my brain is like, my brain spits out stupid like it's poison. Poison. See, I'm getting tired. I'm getting stupid. But anyway, you guys, I get it. And what I'm trying to do is show you guys how to do major workarounds all the time and have the law on your side. You guys got to understand something. You have the laws. You have the laws. You have the evidence. And what is it? Laws. And you have the facts. Laws, evidence, and facts. It's all on your side. You know what they got? They got no laws because they violate them. They got no facts because they didn't take a paper trail. Okay. They violated all of the laws. So they can't have facts in the paper trail because that would show your case. That means you're going to win. Okay. So they're stupid. They're just stupid. I'm not even kidding. They're dumb. Okay. I got to tell you, Barbara, I just remembered it. I'm going to tell you what happened with Barbara. So Barbara has guardianship of her son, and he has a lot of appointments. He lives in a group home, as you guys well know. And so every time he goes to an appointment, these stupid program people keep giving Barbara this paper for her to give to the doctor for them to get all this private and confidential information out. So I told Barbara, when you go in there, and they go to do it, because the stupid ass did it again. So I said, I'm done. You're not signing that paper. What they're trying to do, as soon as Barbara gives them the paper, that means Barbara's giving them consent. Because they make sure they give the paper to Barbara so Barbara can give it to the doctors. Once Barbara gives it to the doctor, for all intents and purposes, she's giving consent. So I said, don't take the paper. Just look at them like they're nuts. And then you look at the doctor's people sitting at the table and you say to them, are you a HIPAA? Are you covered under... Barbara, I forgot how to say it. Are you a covered entity under HIPAA? She said, what? Barbara said it again. She said, yes, we are. She said, okay, good. She said, they're not. So I didn't give them consent. So if you fill that out, that would be a violation of HIPAA, right? The woman looked right past Barbara and told the guy, she's not filling out nothing. Yeah. Because they have a whole bunch of them. We don't understand what they're doing. And they're trying to circumvent Barbara as a guardian. They won't tell her why they need these papers signed. They won't tell her why they need all this information every single second time he goes to a doctor. They won't tell her. That's what the schools do. This is the same shit the school was doing to Barbara. That's why her son ended up in $1 million program in 4 years. He also can't pull up his own pants because they taught him so much at Evergreen. And I don't care what I say about Evergreen because I got everybody's testimony. Written testimony, verbatim. You got the written transcripts. That's my girl. So anyway, This is why I'm telling you guys, this is going to be it's going to be more than one, because once I do the form, I'll go back into it. Okay. But wait, there's one section that I wanted you guys to see. Okay. So here's the idea. Okay. Under idea, schools have, okay, wait, I'm going to show you guys because I'm doing it wrong. Okay. Bullying and the denial of free and appropriate public education. Okay. Down here, it starts talking about idea in here. It says, bullying on any basis of a student with a disability who's receiving IDEA FAPE services or Section 504 service can result in the denial of FAPE that must be remedied under Section 504. OSERS, okay. Wait. If the IEP is no longer designed to provide a meaningful educational benefit to the student, the IEP team must determine the extent to which additional or different IDEA FAPE services are needed to address the student's individualized needs, and then revise the IEP accordingly. That's just normal shit. Any decision made by the IEP team must be consistent with the IDEA provisions addressing parental participation and should keep the student with the disability in the original placement or setting. Same school, yada, yada, yada. Unless the student can no longer receive FAPE in that placement or setting. Under IDEA, schools have an ongoing obligation to ensure that a student with a disability who is the target of bullying continues to receive FAPE in accordance with his or her IEP. An obligation that exists whether the student is being bullied based on his or her disability or is being bullied based on other reasons. Similarly, Section 504, schools have an ongoing obligation that a qualified student with a disability who receives IDEA FAPE. So there's IDEA FAPE services and Section 504's FAPE services. Who is a target of bullying? An obligation that exists regardless of why. Because that's another thing. They like to make up a reason why the student was bullied. There's no reason. Okay? There's no reason. You can't bully anybody ever. Okay? Bullying somebody is an assault. Okay? If they put their hands on your kid, that's a physical assault. It's a crime. In any state, it's a crime. Nobody can put their hands on somebody else. Okay? So you can file assault charges. And the school don't want you to do that either. Don't care. I did that too. Don't care. Okay? So, to determine whether as a result of the effects of bullying, the student needs have changed such that the student is no longer receiving FAPE. Okay? If the student can't access the general curriculum and the kid's on an IEP, and the reason why the kid's not accessing the general curriculum is because of the bullying, is directly related to the bullying, then the student is no longer receiving FAPE, and that's a violation. Okay? The effects of bullying could include, for example, this is what I want you to listen to, adverse changes in the student's academic performance or behavior. If the school suspects, which they never will, the student needs have changed, the IEP team or the Section 504 team must determine the extent to which additional or different services are needed. Ensure that any needed changes are made promptly and safeguard against putting the onus of the student with the disability to avoid or handle the bullying. So the kid can't handle it. It's got to be the school. Okay? Although there are no hard and fast rules regarding how much of a change, and because that's what the schools like to do, okay? There's no set thing on how bad your kid's academic performance or behavior is necessary to trigger the school's obligation to convene an IEP team meeting or Section 504 team. A sudden decline in grades, the onset of emotional outbursts, an increase in the frequency or intensity of behavior interruptions, or a rise in missed classes or sessions of Section 504 services would generally be sufficient. Okay? Now, one grade, that's not going to do nothing. Okay? Not one, it's not going to do nothing. But a whole slew of them, a whole quarter, a week, that's bad. Wait, where's another one? When a student who receives IDEA FAPE services or Section 504 services has experienced bullying resulting in a disability-based harassment violation. However, there is a strong likelihood that the student was denied FAPE. Okay, so what they're saying is who receives FAPE has experienced bullying resulting in a disability-based harassment violation. However, there is a strong likelihood that the student was denied FAPE. So it's not just about bullying. Okay, it's not just about bullying all by itself. It's about, could the kid still access the curriculum in the manner in which he had been before the bullying started? Okay. It's raining so heavy, there's lots of floods. Oh my, thank you for your support. Is somebody leaving? Who's leaving? So anyway, this is because, this is the part I wanted you guys to really say. This is because when bullying is sufficiently serious to create a hostile environment and the school fails to respond appropriately, this is the part I want you guys to pay attention to. There is a strong likelihood both that the effects of the bullying included an impact on the student's receipt of FAPE, and that the school's failure to remedy the effects of the bullying included its failure to address these FAPE-related concerns. I love this letter. It's my favorite so far. My favorite. I'll make this available to you guys, okay? And then right here it explains how, you know, they explain how OCR analyzes the complaints. What this is good for is if you do file with OCR, okay, this tells you what your complaint needs to include, okay, what they're looking at. And this is pretty much where I'm going to go and add to the form that I'm going to create, okay? These areas right here. Was a student with a disability bullied by one or more students based on the student's disability? Was the bullying conduct sufficiently serious to create a hostile environment? Did the school know or should have known? Did the school fail to take prompt yada, yada, yada? If the answer is yes to each of these questions, then OCR would find a disability-based harassment violation under 504. And if the student was receiving IDEA FAPE or Section 504 FAPE, OCR would have a basis for investigating whether there was also a denial of FAPE under 504. Okay? Trying to see what else I highlighted. I don't think I did any. That's as far as I got. So that's how you guys can protect yourself. Okay? I will make this available to you guys. It's something that you got to pick and choose what you're reading because it's a pain in the ass. I don't like OCR, but this helps us. We can use the verbiage in this in our complaints. So when I make up the complaint form, it's going to have some of this and it's going to refer to this. Okay. Because like I said, this is basically a policy letter, and a policy letter from OCR carries the same kind of weight as a policy letter from OSEP. It's OCR's interpretation of OCR regulations, Section 504. That's what this is about. Okay. So I'm going to, I don't know. Yeah, I might just save this and send this to you with all of these highlights in it, because that's what you guys can, I want you guys to really look at those things. Okay. But like I said, you guys can get the first thing you have to do. Timmy, do you find the letters that apply to your case? Yeah. Oh God. I'm helping somebody do one right now. It's nothing but research. It's research into, like right now I'm doing it, research in the speech and language pathologist as under ASHA, which is the American Speech and Hearing Association, which governs how speech and language pathologists, their code of ethics, basically. Just like the BCBA, a BCBA has the BACB code of ethics, well, so does ASHA. All of the service providers that your kids may have Diane, have have regulations that pertain to like a person in school, a provider. every provider that's licensed and certified in your state for your kid, they're governed by other regulations. It's not just that. They could lose their license. A BCBA that's not doing their job, they could be sanctioned by the BACB. They can lose their certification or get it suspended. And they think that because they work for a school or they have a contract with the school, that somehow they're protected by the school. No, they're not. They're not protected by the school because they work there. Okay. Tell them to be careful. And they hate it when I say, you do realize, I tell them at meetings, I'll get into a discussion, a little heated discussion with some related service provider, and I tell them, you listen to me very carefully. I know who licenses you. I have enough evidence right here to prove that you're not doing your job under your certification, under your code of ethics. Make no mistake, I have no problem filing against you outside of the school district. I don't have to go through the school district to file against you. I'll be out of the hospital. What do you mean you're in the hospital? What the hell, Diane? Yes, honey, I will. I'm going to create a thing so you can use. Do you know the letters? What? Can you find the letters that apply through? Oh, girl, they're all over the place. It's constant research. This is why I had to stop. Okay, the shit I did for you? Yeah. A lot of the stuff I get from, like, I use Pearson Clinical, for instance. I use Pearson Clinical. So the information that I put in your thing, I went right into Pearson Clinical and I looked it up and it showed me what I needed to know. Okay. Diane, I'm going to punch you in your head. Text me tomorrow. Not tonight, tomorrow. You're in the hospital doing this? I can't believe it. I'm going to have to hurt you. Anyway, the research that I do is based on the information that I need for my case. And I do stuff that most people don't do. Most advocates don't do what I do. I'll look up what the disability is. For instance, speech and language. This woman used a word called prosody. What the hell do I know about prosody? Prosody and frequency, and I forgot what. One of the words was prosody. Okay. I know what the hell that was. I had to look it up. And right now I can't tell you because I'm tired. But I had to look up what that was. I had to look up everything that she wrote in this kid's IEP. And what I found was the woman's cray-cray. Because the stuff that she put in the IEP, just like yours, it doesn't make any sense. There's no way she's going to be able to, this kid is going to make any gains, given what she wrote and given what that thing calls for. I looked it up. None of what she's talking about is good. Now, a lot of the information came from Asha. A lot of your information comes from Pearson Clinical. So I am literally all over the place. It depends on what I'm trying to prove and who I'm trying to tear down and show you're an idiot. I like doing that. I like it. I'm sorry. You cannot. Here's the thing. One time when I was in Brockton, Mass, I was advocating there all the time. And they had this pre-K course program. I was constantly in this one. And I found out later through a person that worked at the program at the time. This was years ago. And she told me, I knew her from high school. And she told me, she said, Tammy, I think it was her. She told me that everybody, when they come to the team meetings, when they know I'm the advocate for a particular kid, they crossed all their T's and dotted all their I's because they knew I was coming to ask the hard questions about what they wrote, about their job function. And I was going to call them on it. And I didn't care. And so they did. They came prepared. And I was like, okay, so we're doing really good here then, right? And they're like, yes, we are. We're doing really good. And everything was, all the T's were crossed, the I's were dotted. Everything was wonderful. The kid was dotted. Then I told the mother, you got any problems? You have any questions? The mother's like, no, Tammy, you did good. I said, all right, let's go. But I got a heads up. They were deathly afraid of me. Nobody wanted to get you because they know I would chew them out. I would call them out and I tell them, listen to me very carefully. I tell them, the provider. So let me get this straight. I just asked you, for all intents and purposes, a layman's question about your discipline that you're licensed and certified in, and you can't answer me. I got a problem with that. And they would just look at me. They're like, what? I don't understand why you can't answer this question. You can't go around throwing around those words, prosody, or any type of jargon that you use in your discipline. And don't think for 1 second, I'm not going to ask you to break it down. I don't understand what that means. That's another thing. I don't have a problem telling the school people, what is that? What does that mean? Because for me to know everything that they're talking about, I have to be licensed and certified in all of their disciplines. They're not. They're not. That's why they have different people. They have the OT and the PT and the speech and language pathologist and the BCBA. That's why you have to have all of those people at your team meeting, especially when you're doing an evaluation review. When you're discussing the results, the person that wrote that evaluation has to be there, or a person with those credentials has to be there for that evaluation to interpret the results. That's what they have to do. Okay? So nobody cares. Nobody cares about what their problem is. What I do is I make sure I don't care what they think about me. And as soon as you stop caring about what they think about you, that's your first hurdle. That's your first win. Because now you're all about your kid, and you're not going to bite your tongue. You're going to be professional. You're going to be cordial and civil, but you're going to ask the hard questions, and they're going to get mad. And you call them on it. You say, excuse me, are you telling me I couldn't ask you that question? Why can't I ask you that question? This is what I do at meetings. That's why parents, I tell them all the time, you don't want me at your meeting. I'm asking the hard questions. I don't give a shit. And if they can't answer me, they don't know the answer. If they don't know the answer, but we're talking about your kid's IEP, now we got a problem. We have a problem because you can't explain how you're going to deliver this service. You can't explain what that means in layman's terms. That's because you don't even believe it. That's right. The SLP likes to play Uno. What you do is you ask her, put it in writing and ask her, how is this? That's not what the IEP says. How are you addressing the IEP goals by playing Uno? How? Explain it. And then you just get the IEP where it says her goal and say, how is this being implemented by you playing Uno? Then you tell them, I want to go and do an observation of my son getting his SLP services. They can't say no. Can't say no. You can't do an observation. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. It's your kid. You can't tell you can't do an observation. And if they tell you can't do an observation, so now we write a complaint and say that your kid's not getting any of the services because the stupid SLP wants to play Uno instead of implementing the idea and IEP goals and objectives. That's what you do. And then she has to say, oh no, and now she'll explain. You just say they're not doing it. And she's not. And then you go take your kid at the end of the year. You take your kid to an outside SLP without the school knowing. And you go get your kid evaluated and hand the IEP over to the new evaluator and say, I want to know if you made any gains in any of this. Then you'll get tested and she'll say no. You say, oh, because she was playing Uno. Go ask another SLP, why how is this therapy? I don't understand. How is this speech and language therapy? I don't understand. What are you working on exactly? Now go look at, I'm going to report it. Okay, good. I will show you how to do that too. What you first have to do is line up your dots. Okay. So first you take the IEP and you send her a copy of the IEP, her section, and you say, what is the status of this? Because did you get any of the progress reports? I bet you she lied. Now what you have to do is you have to tell her, you do realize I'm getting my kid tested at the end of the year to see if he met any of this by an outside agency. My treat. That's what you tell him, my treat. You told her to stop it? Good. Either tell her to stop it or tell you why, and then go to the school and say. So you want to see what she's doing. And then when your son comes home, you ask him, did you pay Uno today? He'll say yes. With Mrs. And he'll say yes. And then you put it in an email. I need you to do. I'll show you. I'll show you. I'll show you how to do it. Okay. It's easy. And then she'll stop. And then she'll get mad. Nobody cares. She's mad. They are yelling at me to go to sleep. Love you. Yeah. Go to sleep and text me tomorrow. Badass thing. Oh, I'm going to beat your ass. I hope you're all right. Crazy lady. All right, you guys. I'm going to go. It's almost 10 o'clock. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you for all of the support. I so appreciate it. You just don't know. I will get this thing together. Hopefully this isn't going to be hard for me to do. But I'll put up for, if you guys are interested, I'll do the bullying thing and I'll put it out there. And I told you I'm still writing that book. I'm writing the book. I got almost everything done. I just got to put it together and put it out there for it to be made. The first one's going to be how to file a complaint. Going to be cool. So, and I'm going to add this in here. I'll put OCR on bullying harassment. So, okay. I will talk to you guys soon. I'll see you next Thursday. Hopefully Barbara will be on to continue the discussion about transition. Okay. As an adult, from school to adult living. Okay. I will talk to you guys soon. You have a nice weekend. Be safe. Try not to get too wet if you're living where I am, and try to stay cool if you're living where Alma is, 110 degrees out. Love you guys. Kisses. Mwah. See you next week.